Welcome to the Fantasy Football Show on Sikkim 365 Radio, presented by Brotherwell Brewing and Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac.
Buda Baker out in front. Can Metcalf track him down? Can he chase him down? And he does to save a touchdown.
Here's Paul Catalina, Steve May, and Grayson Grundhafer.
Welcome into the Fantasy Football Show here on Sikkim 365 Radio alongside Steve May and in our Austin Bureau, Grayson Grundhafer. I'm Paul Catalina. Thanks for joining us. We've got a lot to get to today, some significant injuries. One big significant injury that I don't really know how it's going to affect the Browns at all in Odell Beckham Jr., but some things to get to. But first off, as we do always, welcome to you, Steve. Welcome to Grayson Grundhafer. And special thanks to our sponsor, Brotherwell Brewing, as Steve and I are drinking Hidden Herd tonight, and Armstrong Sims produces the show, and Grayson is alone in his house, not drinking it. How you doing there, Grayson?
It's a sad day. It's a sad day every Wednesday. I have to sit here and watch this, huh?
Man, that's delicious. That's
a good one.
That is full. It's hearty, but it's smooth.
Yes.
Got a nice little bite to it.
Yep.
Grayson wouldn't know. Actually, no. Is that what you took? The Hidden Herd when I gave you some?
No. Oh, well, I don't even remember which one it was. It was one of the ones you've had on a previous episode. I can't remember which one.
Maybe the Bridge Street Vit.
That was it. Yeah, it was the Vit.
Yeah. All right. So an interesting week, guys. Grayson, let's start with you. Odell Beckham Jr. Torn ACL. He's out for the season. He was up and down, but it looked like he'd finally kind of hit a point with the Browns where he had a lot of value as their playmaker. Does this improve Jarvis Landry going forward? What does this mean?
Yeah, it was really interesting because Odell Beckham goes down and then Baker Mayfield has his best game of the season. So really doesn't make a whole lot of sense there, but I guess that's just how it happened. And I know Baker seemed to be playing a lot freer and a lot looser than he normally does. And yeah, I think this helps Jarvis Landry. I think a guy like Rashard Higgins could be an interesting option as well. I know he's available on a lot of waiver wires. And then the big name, actually a tight end, Harrison Bryant, the rookie, he also had a touchdown in that game. And so I think Austin Hooper went down with injury as well. So a lot of moving parts for this Cleveland Browns offense, but I think there's a lot of guys that could benefit.
Yeah, and I think Beckham's a player that demands a lot of attention. I think he's always in the ear of his quarterback. So when he's not in the game, I think we saw it with Eli Manning, a little bit when Beckham wouldn't play. Because Beckham has now, you can say he is injury prone. It's an established trend here. So I think Baker's going to do fine going forward. And as Grayson said, the tight end Bryant, I think is really going to benefit.
Another significant injury would be Kenyon Drake. Now, the Cardinals are on bye this week, so if you can't add Chase Edmonds, if you're not in a league that somebody's already got him, which I can't imagine that you would be just based on that running back situation, but if you can add Chase Edmonds, or maybe you make a trade for him if somebody has a deeper bench, but I wouldn't trade Chase Edmonds right now based on how that offense is going, but Chase Edmonds' role will increase because Kenyon Drake's going to be out for a bit, Steve.
Yeah, I think they're saying maybe 3 to 4 weeks, and I ended up with Drake on a lot of my teams, and luckily I was able to get Chase Edmonds in the draft. So I highly doubt if he's available in too many leagues, but if he is, definitely pick him up. We talked a couple weeks ago that we thought, even with Drake healthy, we thought that Evans was going to maybe take over that starting role. Then the Cowboy game happened, and Drake went off, just like anybody would. So it maybe just postponed the inevitable at that point, but I do think Chase Edmonds has a ton of value in we'll talk more about DFS later, but all across the fantasy board.
Yeah, scoring on the Cowboys has been kind of like being an NBA player and dating Madonna in the 90s. Like, everybody did it. Ooh. I mean, like, everybody, everybody was.
Harsh.
Listen, I would have if I was an NBA player in the 90s. I'm not knocking it, but yeah, I mean, it's not something that like, everybody can brag about,
Yeah.
To make it more current, if you're an NBA player and you've dated any of the Kardashians now, there you are. A lot, they've made their way through the NBA, and that's fine. Let your flag fly, Kardashians, on your private island. Grayson, your thoughts on Chase Edmonds and we'll get into daily fantasy, but his value will be pretty high because that Cardinals offense is flying.
Yeah, guys, I actually think Chase Edmonds is a fringe RB1 at minimum while Kenyon Drake is out. So top 12 running back for the foreseeable future. I think he can get it done in the passing game. He can get it done in the run game, as we've seen. And he's honestly looked better of the two running backs this year. I know Drake had that big performance, but I think overall course of the season, Edmonds has looked better. And I think this is an opportunity for him to cement himself as the RB1 in Arizona while Drake is out. So we'll see if he's able to take advantage of it, unlike some of the other backs have, like Alexander Madison couldn't take advantage of it and a few others, but we'll see if Edmonds can get that train rolling.
All right, I want to talk about one more player on the Cardinals who scored 4 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, and that's Christian Kirk.
Yep.
So when you were sour on, you were mad at him, Steve, early in the season because he hadn't really done anything, but now it appears that DeAndre Hopkins obviously is the number one target, and he's going to get maybe even double-digit receptions in certain weeks. But Christian Kirk has turned into a strong play, especially as a flex. Like, you really can't go wrong with Christian Kirk.
Yeah, and I was sour on him because I thought going into the season that this was going to be like a breakout season for him. So it's turning out I was right about that. I was getting very frustrated. I didn't cut him anywhere at that point. I just stashed him away, and so now he's a definite play pretty much every week. That offense is in a groove now. They're moving the ball. So, any piece of that Cardinals offense you can get into your starting lineup is worth it.
Yeah, and we're saying all this now, and they're on bye this week.
Yeah.
But if you're looking ahead, the Cardinals really look, especially after that win of the Seahawks. We played the DK Metcalf play in the open where he ran down Budda Baker, which that's a defensive touchdown for the Cardinals defense.
Yes.
If you get, I guess, points for tackles if you have DK Metcalf. I have DK Metcalf in the league, and I feel that play was so good that it should have overcome the 4 points that he really got me because Tyler Lockett was the guy. I should have got at least 7 points for that one play because he saved 7 points. So give me 7 points on that. That's what I think. I wound up losing by 20, but at the time I was thinking, like, man, I really need those 7 points. Another injury that will affect at least this week. And I don't think a lot of people are playing him anymore, and nor should they play almost anyone on the Cowboys unless you have to. I mean, there's going to be people who catch the ball and get yards, but things are bad in Dallas all over the place right now. Ben DiNucci looks like he's going to start at quarterback for the Cowboys, and even though Zach Martin is probably back this week, Andy Dalton is probably out, which hence the Ben DiNucci. All right, so I'll put it to you first, Grayson. Is it time to maybe sell on most of your Cowboys, or just at least bench most of them?
Yeah, I actually ran into this dilemma today. I was trying to move Amari Cooper, trying to figure out a way to trade him. I still think he's got value because he is the number one clearly in Dallas, and it's been that way since the beginning of the year. But I'm really hopeful that either I can move him or that the Cowboys go bring in my boy Fitzmagic, because if they brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick, then you're talking about everyone having value again. But yeah, I would be looking to sell guys like CeeDee Lamb and maybe Amari Cooper if you can get the right value back, especially for a guy like Amari Cooper, who's I think PPR wide receiver number 5 on the season.
Yeah, well, I'll just say this about the Cowboys bringing anybody in. If you've noticed that's not the trend this week, it is people going out.
Well,
Poe, Worley, Everson, Griffin. They're not going to trade an asset to bring somebody in right now. They're going to try to amass as many assets as they can. And they'll have compensatory picks coming their way because they did get rated in free agency. Randall Cobb, Byron Jones.
They did make a signing today. They brought back
Cooper Rush, but that's a practice squad guy who is now, and like, to me, it's Andy Dalton's stand-in.
Yeah.
That's what like in the movies where, George Clooney's going to get punched in the face. Like, well, he's not going to get punched in the face. The stand-in will get punched in the face. I think anything Cowboys, like we've been saying, the defense, don't even bother.
No.
I don't even think, like, they shouldn't even be available. Like, fantasy leagues should just not make them available. Like, don't make them available.
Yeah.
They're not worth picking up. And, you really got to start thinking about, you're going to play Zeke Elliott, but you really can't expect much out of him anymore, Steve, because that offense is so bad.
No, the only thing you can hope for at this point is that they totally make him the focus of the offense. And they give him 25 carries a game and, 8 to 10 targets in the passing game just as a safety valve for whatever quarterback is back there. But, I wouldn't – if you have any other receiver option, I don't think you can play a Cowboy receiver. Maybe Dalton Schultz. Mm-hmm. But Michael Gallup has just disappeared.
Well, part of that's just because they're not doing anything that they wanted to do. Like, I think he was probably intended to be a big focal point, but –
well, his game is getting down the field, and the quarterback doesn't have enough time back there to set up and get a pass down there. So it's a mess. We'll talk about it later, but, obviously if you got Philadelphia Eagles on your roster this week, you want to play them all. Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting question for you. Boston Scott versus Miles Sanders. I think Boston Scott's probably still going to get the start. Miles Sanders, but that's going to be one of those I'm just worried because I have Boston Scott in a league. I feel like I'm going to get screwed on Sunday morning at noon because I don't really have any other options. Like, I'm at that point injury-wise.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to play Sanders this week because it should be a very winnable game for them. So I think you're safe with Scott for one more week.
Yeah. All right, Grayson, any other things that popped out from last week that you think we need to get to here in the first segment?
Yeah, just quickly, guys to keep an eye on. Christian McCaffrey could be coming back tomorrow, actually. I don't think he will. I know he practiced in full on Tuesday, I believe, but just keep an eye on that because obviously if he comes back, Mike Davis loses pretty much all of his value and CMC becomes the guy again. Some other news and notes, Deontay Johnson had a monster week with Pittsburgh. He again continues. Every time he plays, he's the wide receiver 1 in Pittsburgh. So I thought that was a pretty key storyline as well that came out of the weekend. And as y'all have mentioned, if you're playing against Seattle or you're playing against Dallas, play all of the players playing against those two defenses because, my goodness, they're just hemorrhaging points.
Yeah, Seattle, by the way, just picked up Carlos Dunlap. And Carlos
Cincinnati.
Dunlap effectively Costanza'd his way out of Cincinnati.
Yep.
And he'll be there. How effective he is early on is probably limited, but maybe he helps that Seattle defense a little bit, stopping something. But they lost Bruce Irvin. They didn't bring back Jadeveon Clowney. They went cheap on that. So that's probably part of the reason that Seattle's defense with some good guys is not playing well. Jamal Adams is back, so that should help them a little bit, but I don't expect that to change anything. Steve?
No. Yeah, and I agree. Seattle gets San Francisco this week. That's actually one of the higher over-unders, 53.5 points. So they're, Vegas guys are expecting points to be scored in that game. San Francisco, Garoppolo, we'll talk a little bit more about it. It might be a sneaky play for DFS.
Yeah, by the way, speaking of San Francisco, that's one of the injuries that we didn't talk about. Raheem Mostert back.
Yeah.
Then last week he sprains his ankle. So this week you think, hey, Jerick McKinnon is the play. Nope, it wound up being Jeff Wilson Jr. Well, guess what? Sprained his ankle as well. Tevin Coleman might be coming back. I doubt that that's this week, but probably next week. So now your running backs in San Francisco are Jerick McKinnon again and Baylor product and rookie Jermichael Hasty, who actually looked pretty good last week, Grayson.
He looked great.
Yeah, he looked really good.
Yeah, I thought so too, guys. And I am weary, though. I do think Tevin Coleman is going to come back this week. The signs seem to be pointing in that direction, but we'll see what happens. If he doesn't play, Hasty could be a pretty sneaky play this week, and I wouldn't mind playing him at all. He was a huge waiver wire addition in all of my leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. So that may be something. And look, there's like New Orleans has an interesting situation at wide receiver in that we don't know if Michael Thomas is going to be available this week. Probably not. Emmanuel Sanders is still out because of COVID. So, you're looking at Traquan Smith or who I can't remember even the guy's name who had a touchdown last week from Drew Brees. So it also lowers Drew Brees' value and probably keeps Alvin Kamara's at the same. He's a play every week when he's healthy, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, when we come back, daily fantasy, and we'll draft our Showdown League. Guys, we're getting our asses handed to us in the Showdown Leagues.
We need to make sure we talk about our three-man contest that we had.
I mean, who cares? No one cares, Steve. No one cares.
Grayson
doesn't. Look at Grayson. He doesn't care. Do you care, Grayson?
No, not when I lost by 4 points because I paid for Aaron Jones.
I took y'all's money.
That's right.
$2 from each of you.
Yeah. Enjoy the cruise.
Yes.
Jackass. All right. When we come back, daily fantasy, Steve gets to gloat. This is the Fantasy Football Show on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sikkim 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas, familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back into the Fantasy Football Show here on Sikkim 365 Radio. Paul Catalina alongside Steve May and Grayson Grundhafer. Daily Fantasy. This segment, special thanks again to Brotherwell Brewing and Richard Carr Motors. Don't mix those two things, by the way.
No.
Don't drink and drive.
Good PSA.
There we go. I don't do enough PSAs. I could, you know what? I should just do like one where I knock them out. Like human trafficking is bad. Don't drink and drive. Just say no.
Yep.
To most drugs.
Cover all the greatest hits.
Yeah. So I just knock those out. All right. We'll do our Showdown League in a second. Steve, why don't you just get it out? Our league that we have the three of us. You won this week. Aaron Jones didn't play, and that was a very late decision by the Packers. And I picked up Jamal Williams in a league literally 30 minutes before game time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe he was sitting out on the waiver wire, but he was there. And I think partly because people think like, well, A.J. Dillon eventually is going to play because he's a big monster there. But he was there. He helped me out tremendously. But even still, and that's a touchy situation this week, what's going on there. But he also, I had him in daily fantasy, and I think that was the thing that got me $5 because – at 11:15 on Sunday morning. Again, he's not going to cost you $7,000. He's cost you about $4,200, and there you go. There's points. But Steve, go ahead, and you can gloat.
So we did create a three-man league in DraftKings, so we can do a three-person contest each week. And so for our first one, I edged out Grayson. He was ahead most of the day. He had Johnson from Pittsburgh who went off, so he had a great call there. So what benefited me was that the Arizona-Seattle game, it was an afternoon game. It got moved to Sunday night because of some COVID stuff going on, and they wanted to make sure that NBC had a game to play. So DraftKings made the decision to go ahead and still count that game in the afternoon score. So that's what really helped me cash in, not only in our contest, in our 10-man league that we have. I ended up winning that. And then some other contests. I actually had a very good Sunday. Steve was a happy boy when he went to bed that night.
Grayson also doesn't care as probably even more than I don't care. I mean, I can see it in your face, Grayson. You don't care about Steve's happiness. I don't care about Steve's happiness. We only care about ourselves.
Well, Steve's saying that what helped him out was the Arizona Cardinals game getting moved. Well, in our league, what helped him out was me taking Aaron Jones and then not seeing that he got out because I lost by 4 points and I got a 0 from him. So real bummer. Spent $7,200 on 0 points.
Yeah,
rough week.
That's a bummer. All right, so Daily Fantasy, Steve, we'll start with you. Guys to watch out for, some value.
Yep. So looking here for quarterbacks, very quietly, we may have mentioned it last week. Derek Carr is having a good season.
Yes.
He's doing really well. So the Raiders are actually playing, where to go? Cleveland. That's a 52.5 over-under. So Vegas is looking at that as being a high-scoring game. Cleveland defense isn't that great, so it's probably going to be a shootout. So Derek Carr right now is only 5,500 on DraftKings. His ownership is probably going to be high because of that. So a lot of people you're going up against may have Carr in their lineup. But still, that 5,500 is great. I mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo earlier. They're playing Seattle. That should be another shootout. And their Garoppolo is in there at 5,400, which is, again, a really good value. Running backs. Let's see here. Who did I highlight? Myles Gaskin. I think Miami, with Tua having his first start this week, I think they may run the ball more so than normal. So Gaskin's coming in at 5,200. I think that's a great value for him. Receivers, we mentioned Jarvis Landry. He's at 5,600. Again, he should be the new number one there for whatever that means in Cleveland. And then Denzel Mims for the Jets. He came in. He had 4 catches for 47 yards, which made him the highest receiver for the Jets in that game. The Jets are playing. Who are they playing? Somebody help me out here. Where'd it go? They are playing Kansas City. So the Jets should be playing catch up most of that game. So Mims is coming in at 3,200. His ownership's going to be low, so that could be a great play for you when you're building your lineups.
All right, Grayson, anything you've noticed this week? Good value on Daily Fantasy.
Yeah, so I like the names that Steve mentioned, especially at quarterback. But one thing I will say this week, I think you need to pay up on Daily Fantasy this week. I know I'm going to. I will be taking Aaron Rodgers against Minnesota in Green Bay in most of my leagues. He's 7,600, but I think there's such an advantage to having him this week in particular, just because there's some weird matchups for the other top guys that I don't know, like Patrick Mahomes versus the Jets. I don't know how long he actually plays or how much they don't run the ball. So just something to keep in mind there and something I'll probably be looking at this week. As far as running backs go, value-wise, I kind of like a guy like Darrell Henderson against Miami. I think he's going to have a pretty good game. The Rams seem to just love running the football. I mean, they just simply will not throw the ball, it seems like, every week. Bad news for Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. At the wide receiver position, I think the Denzel Mims one is interesting. I'm curious how that offense moves forward. I think it would actually help him if they did have at least one of Perryman or Crowder, or else he's going to be out there basically being the number one, and that's a tough ask for any rookie. I'm going to keep riding with it. I think Deontay Johnson at 5,500. I know he's playing against Baltimore, but I think Pittsburgh is going to have to throw the football, and I think he's the number one guy there. And then one more guy at receiver who I love this week, and I don't like giving away hints to y'all too, but I'm telling you right now, in daily fantasy, play Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. He's 5,800, no Deebo Samuel. I think Brandon Ayuk is a smash play this week.
Yeah, that's really solid. Actually, I did a little test run before, and Brandon Ayuk was one of the people I picked up because again, it was just like you scroll down and you think like, to me, I was like, well, how is he just this much? You look at his stats and that's why. But, but again, Kyle Shanahan's offense, maybe he does some of the things that they do. Deebo Samuel has a huge role in that offense, running the ball, doing a lot of different things out of the backfield. Now that he's gone, Brandon Ayuk could fill that role here for the next couple weeks until Deebo Samuel's back. And he's only played 2 or 3 games anyway. Deebo Samuel, big kind of disappointment. I actually thought he was going to be a solid wide receiver too this year. And really, some weeks he's been a good flex play when he's played, but really hasn't gotten a chance to get going.
Yeah, and like we've already mentioned multiple times, that game should be high scoring. And when you're looking to build your rosters, you do want to look at what the over-under total is projected to be because they're usually pretty close to having that right. So, again, this week the highest ones are – which game do you think has the lowest over-under, Paul?
Cowboys and Eagles?
That is second to lowest.
Second to lowest. Well, it's not going to be the Jets and the Chiefs unless you're just counting on the Jets to score no points at all.
Indiana and Detroit?
No. The lowest one, surprisingly, at 42.5 is New England at Buffalo.
Oh, yeah, that's not surprising. Buffalo's come down a little bit to earth. They're probably still going to win that division, but unless New England kind of puts it together. And I wouldn't put it past Cam Newton and Bill Belichick to find some sort of rhythm here in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
But because Cam Newton to me is too good to be as bad as they've been. But and I don't think he's what he was. But
yeah, but if you watch him throw, he's clearly throwing it weird.
Yeah.
But the highest over-under projection games. So when I'm building my lineups for daily fantasy, I look at this. And if I'm doing a game stack where I want to have a quarterback and a receiver or maybe, a quarterback, running back, receiver from the same team, that's what really can set you apart when you're playing, again, the really big contest. So this week, Tennessee and Cleveland is 53.5. And then also at 53.5, San Francisco and Seattle. We already mentioned that one. And then Minnesota, Green Bay is 52.5. So I think Grayson's right on with that one with Aaron Rodgers. I think the Viking receivers, I think they'll be playing catch up. So Thielen and Jefferson should have big games as well.
All right, guys, let's do it. Let's get to our weekly waste of $1 here on this.
Well, how did we do last week? I felt like we should have done better last.
We didn't do well. We were bad the whole time.
Everybody played, didn't they?
Everybody played.
Okay, that's a first for us.
There was one player who might as well not have. Like I think he had one catch.
Who was that?
What was the game last Thursday night? It was
Eagles and Giants.
Yeah.
Well, I picked Devonta Freeman, and he was horrible.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, we got hurt too.
Yeah.
So put Wayne Gallman in. All right, so first pick this week. Let's see who we're going to give it to.
You haven't gone first.
I haven't gone first. I don't like picking the captain. That's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot. It's a lot on my plate.
The game is Atlanta at Carolina.
Yes, Atlanta at Carolina, and there's actually some pretty good little plays here. And for the value of this, I am going to pick, and you guys, look, if you don't want me to do it, you can veto power. But he had a good week last week. He's looked like he's healthy. They're figuring out ways to get him the offense. And I'm going to put Curtis Samuel at 8,100 in our captain spot so that we have more money later on to spend on the big guys.
Okay.
Are we in agreement on that?
I'm okay with it.
Okay. All right. So, Grayson, you go next.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm going to go with a guy who's just been consistent, and I think that's what we're looking for since we're taking a big swing with Curtis Samuel. Let's go with some consistency. So I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson here as my pick.
At 9,200. So there you go. All right, so we have 32,700 yet left with 4 players. Really, I mean, we were $8,000 a player, so we're solid right now.
So I get 2 now.
You get 2.
All right. This will probably be the last week that he's a starter, so I'll go Mike Davis.
Okay. 8,800.
With it being a Thursday night game, I do think he'll play and McCaffrey will not. I think they're going to take advantage of that other 10-day layoff and bring him back close to 100%. And then I'm going to go – which quarterback do I want of the two? Who's cheaper, Ryan or Bridgewater? I'm going to guess it's Bridgewater.
Bridgewater by $400.
Wow. Okay. I'll do Bridgewater.
Okay. We'll do Teddy Bridgewater. All right. So back to you, Grayson.
Okay, so we got 66.50. How deep do you want to go, Paul? Do you want me to take the deep pick?
We got 66.50 a player. So 13-3. So you do what you want to do, man. You live your life.
All right. I'll live my life then. Do we have enough capital to spend on Julio Jones in this game?
At 9,800, yes, we do. All right.
Oh, actually, you know what? Nah, I'm going to change my mind. Let's go with Todd Gurley against this defense.
All right.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley at 8,400. He had the touchdown that helped a lot of people, but hurt a lot of people.
Yep.
All right. So that leaves us with $4,900.
Oof.
So I'm not going to, I'd stay away from the defenses on both these teams. Russell Gage is at 4,200. Joey Sly is at 4,000. He's the kicker.
Yeah.
We've not had a kicker yet.
No, kickers.
We've not had a kicker. So really, I think the choice comes down to Russell Gage, Joey Sly, or Younghoe Koo here.
What's Thomas at the tight end for Carolina?
Ian Thomas is at 2,600.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
pick a kicker.
You want to pick a kicker? So really, you're basing this on which kicker you think will have more. Now, Younghoe Koo averages 11.5 fantasy points per game. Joey Sly at 9.7. Which kicker do we think is going to kick more in this game? Look, I'm going to put my faith behind Matt Rule.
Yeah.
And
there you go.
And a person I am lucky enough to consider a friend. And I feel like I should just call him right now. Like, hey. He'd be like, "What do you want?"
Yeah.
This is dumb. Leave me alone. Don't ever call me again. But yeah, let's go with Joey Sly here, and we have $900 of salary remaining. So I feel like we're.
How much were the two defenses?
The two defenses were, let's see, 3,400 and 3,200 apiece.
Yeah. Stick with the kicker.
Yeah, let's go with the kicker. So I drafted Curtis Samuel and Joey Sly. So let's just
okay.
And I want appreciation for the money we saved at the top on the captain with Curtis Samuel. Armstrong appreciates it. He knows value.
That's pretty good. I feel good about this one.
You feel good? Like Grayson, do you feel good for me to hit enter?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay. Our Thursday night showdown is entered. Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, Teddy Bridgewater, Mike Davis, Todd Gurley, and Joey Sly. That is the lineup. Copy it, folks.
Yeah,
copy it.
Yeah.
Don't do it in this one, but in all the other ones.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what this one is, but copy it. I feel good. I feel good about that one. I feel good. I feel like we've outsmarted the rest of the universe.
Yes.
That's
finally.
Yeah, that's the feeling that you want. All right, when we come back, Stacy has sent us some more questions because we helped them out last week. So we will answer Stacy's questions again. And again, if you have questions, just send them to me on Twitter at Paul Catalina on Twitter, or to send text commish, no E in the text.
That's right.
Yeah, at send text commish, and we'll answer them for you, or at Gray Grundhafer as well. So all those, and Grundhafer is a really long name. Armstrong's put it up on the screen. I don't want to spell it and mess it up and look like an idiot of a guy I've known for like 5 years now. And had on my radio show for all that time. So I don't want to mess it up, but I think I could do it from memory if this is the spelling bee. I don't want to do it though.
Don't do it.
I don't want to do it.
No.
Yeah. I want to test it.
It's on the thing.
Use it in a sentence.
Oh. Okay.
Use it in a sentence.
Okay. Look, I'm not looking at the monitor. I'm looking at the monitor.
What's the origin? What's the origin of the last name?
German.
German.
Very German.
And use it in a sentence, please.
Yes. Grundhoefer.
See, that wasn't that hard.
No, it
was
wasn't.
easy.
Yeah. But when we come back, this is the Fantasy Football Show here on Sikkim 365 Radio, Sikkim365.com. We'll do Stardom Sit-em for this week. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sikkim 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back into the Fantasy Football Show here on Sikkim 365 Radio. Paul Catalina, Steve May, Grayson Grundhoefer. Thank you to Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. A place I'll tell you right now I spoke with today. And I'll tell you why I did. I was in a car accident this weekend, guys. And the body shop already got me my estimate. It's not great news, but they got, I'll just tell you, it was expedient.
Yeah.
It was expedient, and that's what we can count on is expediency there. So as you can tell, I'm fine. Everybody was fine in the accident. It wasn't my fault. I'm just going to say that. And the insurance company backs me on that, as does the law. But I spoke with them today, and they were great. And so I would really appreciate that because, again, they were full and then took my car in, knowing that they could get it in. So it was very much appreciated from a good client and some good folks at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Don't buy a wrecked car there. You shouldn't do that.
No.
Nobody would. But they have a lot of cars that are fully intact and new and wonderful and pre-owned.
We have bought from there before, and it was a great experience. Yep.
Yes, Richard Goff and his whole team, Richard Carr, they're all great there. And also thanks to Brotherwell Brewing right there. I don't know. Armstrong's not even doing anything on that one.
Get close up.
It's fantastic beer, right just down the street from us. They had trivia last night, I'm sure, in the cold, but they did. So they're back open again at obviously lower capacity and socially distanced and all that 2020 COVID-19 jazz. But they're back open again, so they're going to have events. So check them out on brotherwell.com and go hang out there when you get a chance. Plus, they'll be down at our tailgate this weekend at Sikkim 365. They'll be down there at Brazos Parking. Grayson, I trust I'll see you in the 254 this weekend.
Yes, I will be there. Very excited about it and hoping to see another really good Baylor football game. Hopefully the results are a little bit better.
Yes, yeah, we'll see. We will see.
right?
TCU, yes.
What time is kickoff?
2:30.
2:30.
12:30 pregame right here on Sikkim 365
there you go.
Radio. And then we'll have postgame right after as the game goes to 0. All right, so let's get into Stacy's questions first.
Okay.
We'll start him, sit him. So he said that last week he won, so everything He did. So here are his shorter questions. He has a few less this week since now he's kind of solidified that decision. Although he did send me a screen grab of an article today about, is it time to drop Zeke Elliott or trade him because of that? And he said, I'm ahead of the curve. So we might have to just, you know what, we might Skype him in one day, put him in here. By the way, Steve, we have a big guest. Do you want to announce that right now?
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. We have a big
to
time.
you. Do you want to?
Go ahead and announce it. He's your friend, and it's exciting. People can look ahead to it. So.
In 2 weeks, we will have a Grammy-nominated artist who is in a band that plays Waco every now and then. And I'm responsible for getting him into fantasy football, and he does very well. The only negative thing about him is he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
He mentions Troy Aikman in a song.
But
his guitar player wears Cowboys jerseys on stage.
But he is the voice of Chuck E. Cheese. When you see the Chuck E. Cheese commercials, he's the voice. He sang the theme song to Phineas and Ferb, the great cartoon. And most notably, he is the lead singer of Bowling for Soup. And that will be Mr. Jarrett Reddick. And he will, right now the plan is he will join us in 2 weeks to talk about how his fantasy season is going and how he kind of got into that and kind of when he's on the road, how that works with being able to set his lineups and all that.
Yeah. By the way, so here's the difference between our generation, Steve, and you're a little bit older than me, but like our generation and Armstrong and Grayson's generation. Armstrong and Grayson's generation, like they kind of know Bowling for Soup. Mm-hmm. But when you said Phineas and Ferb, that's the show.
Yeah. I was wondering why you said it, and most notably Bowling for Soup. Like, no, most notably Phineas and Ferb.
Exactly. No, and as a matter of fact, like the first time I remember I sent you that tweet, and this is years ago now, but I was babysitting my nephews and we were watching that show. It was the first time I'd seen it. I'm like, this show is genius.
Yeah.
And then like I tweeted, and then you're like, Bowling for Soup wrote the theme song. I went, yeah, I knew that was them. Yep. It sounded like them. So excited to have Jarrett on the show. I got to meet him the last time that they were here.
Yep.
Really, really great guy. And we'll have some fun with him. Really fun. Like if you ever get a chance when we have concerts again to go see, you want to go see a show and just have fun. Like that's a show to go with. All right, let's get to Stacy's questions. He's not as famous as your friend. He's a lawyer in Tampa. But anyway, okay, random question. Is Antonio Brown worth a pickup? Do you foresee AB being more reliable than any of the other receivers in Tampa who seem very hit or miss or injured on a week-to-week basis? Let's start with Grayson.
I think that he was worth a pickup for sure. I think you have to see what you have there. But I'm still of the opinion, and I know this may be not shared by a lot of people, but I do believe Chris Godwin is the number one there when he is healthy. He just continues to get hurt, and he's going to be out again this week. But I do think Antonio Brown just takes even more snaps and more targets away from Mike Evans, Scotty Miller. But I do believe that Godwin and Gronk are kind of safety blankets for Tom Brady. And then I think AB could be taking some of those deeper passes away from Mike Evans. So if you can sell somewhat high on Mike Evans after he puts up a monster week this week, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, I agree. I would pick him up if you can fit him onto your roster. I would not give up or cut a definite starter, someone that's been getting you points. But who did I had Preston Williams on one of my rosters, just kind of sitting there. I think maybe I'd used him 1 week. So I cut him, and I did pick up Antonio Brown. So that's how I would do that. I do think he's going to have some value, especially as the season goes on. And as Grayson said, I think the person he will hurt the most will be Mike Evans.
Yeah. That person on my roster that I haven't been able to let go of is Duke Johnson, because I'm convinced David Johnson's going to get hurt. So, I know that the minute that I release him, David Johnson's going to break his leg.
Yeah.
And then the value that I would have had in him is gone because I won't be able to get him back.
And I had someone like that on 3 of my teams. I finally cut loose Cam Akers.
Believe me, it was harder for me than it was for you.
I drafted him thinking, they spent a high pick on him. They're going to want him to be the guy, and it just hasn't happened. And this last week he was healthy. far as I know, and didn't do anything. So I cut him to make room for various players to, if I had someone on a bye week or whatever. J.K. Dobbins was available, which surprised me in one of my leagues. So I picked him up because we may talk about it here in a little bit, but Mark Ingram is banged up and he may not play. So Dobbins would have some value.
Absolutely. All right.
Any other questions?
Yes, he does. He has a really interesting one. IR pickups. Who is currently on IR that you would consider stashing for later in the season? For example, Tevin Coleman, Jalen Reagor, Alan Lazard, who I have on IR in our league, Steve, because I'm just waiting for him to come back. He had a great game before he got hurt, and I really do think that when he comes back, Aaron Rodgers will spread the wealth to him a little bit more because he does believe in him.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to hurt Devontae Adams at all. It just I think he's kind of a guy you can play, especially in a flex spot when he comes back. Would be good. Sony Michel or Raheem Mostert, any of those guys?
Now, Reagor may actually play this week.
Yeah.
I think he's activated, and the Eagles, again, since we're playing the Cowboys, they may throw him out there, and he could have a monster game. Who knows?
And if you're both a Cowboys and a Baylor fan, you hate Jalen. Jalen Reagor won 2 years ago here in Waco the game by himself. He made 2 plays, and they won the game.
Yeah. The only reason someone like that would be out there on waivers is if that league doesn't have an IR spot.
Yeah.
So go through there. You may find a Nick Chubb that got cut by someone. You might find Eckler. Mostert, if Mostert's out there, I would definitely pick him up. But I highly doubt that any of those players that were listed
I've been housing Nick Chubb with the hope that I get the last playoff spot, and then he comes back in because they're going to feed him the rock once he gets there. Grace, anybody that sticks out to you like that?
Yeah, I mean, Tevin Coleman is a guy that I mentioned. Obviously, I mean, if Mostert is out there, pick him up. If Reagor is out there, pick him up. But Coleman is a sneaky one. But I have an even sneakier one for y'all, who I actually picked up a couple weeks ago because I do have extra IR spots. And it is Rashad Penny, the running back for the Seattle Seahawks. He was on the PUP list before the season started. And he tore his ACL last year, but he seems to be working his way back, more and more progress. And the more and more I look at this Seattle Seahawks backfield, I see an injured Chris Carson, and then I see a whole lot of either washed up kind of guys or guys who really have never earned much of a role in the league. And what we saw at the end of the year last year from Rashad Penny was very, very exciting. So I picked him up. I think he could be worth a stash if you have some extra IR spots.
All right, let's go to Stardom, Situm. Steve, we'll start with you.
Okay. Quarterbacks, I really like we talked about Derek Carr. I like him against Cleveland. I think that's a really good play. I do not like Drew Brees this week. They're playing at Chicago. The Chicago defense is strong. The weather isn't supposed to be that great. It's supposed to be very windy. And the way Drew Brees has been throwing it lately, I think he may struggle a little bit there. So I would shy away from him if you have a better option. I mentioned Garoppolo. I think that's a good play this week. For running backs, I already mentioned Gaskin earlier. I think he could have a really good game. I also like Le'Veon Bell. Chiefs are playing the Jets. As Grayson mentioned earlier, by all the Chiefs are favored by 19. You don't hear that ever in a NFL spread. It's very rare. So if the game script goes what everybody's thinking it should go, the Chiefs should be up by plenty, which means they're going to run the ball a lot. I think Andy Reid would like to give Bell a chance to score a touchdown against his former team. So I think Bell could be a sneaky play there. Guys I don't like James Conner against Baltimore. I think that's going to be a tough matchup for him. Also don't like DeAndre Swift against the Colts. The Colts defense is legit. And then for receivers, where'd my receiver list go? Receivers that I like, I do like Justin Jefferson against Green Bay. If you have him at this point, he's a start every week.
Yeah.
I know he's a rookie, but he's really been the best rookie receiver.
Just imagine next year when he and Thielen get a new quarterback.
Oh, yeah. which should happen. And then I do think Jarvis Landry has some value this week with the Beckham injury. Receivers I don't like, depending on who plays for the Saints, if it's Smith or whoever else, I would really just shy away from them. I think the leading rusher will be Kamara, and I think the leading receiver could be Kamara in that game.
All right, Grayson, who you got?
Yeah, so at quarterback, guys, I really like Carson Wentz this week. And you know why? Because he's playing against the Dallas Cowboys. So Carson Wentz is a must start for me. Also really like Tom Brady this week against the Giants. He's kind of been on a roll a little bit. He's moving his way up inside that top 10. So that's been interesting to see. Also kind of a sneaky play, Joe Burrow against Tennessee. Guys who I don't really like, not in love with Jared Goff. Like I said, the Rams are they're running the football like crazy right now. It's I just would be very scared of playing him. And also I'm a little nervous about Ben Roethlisberger this week. I think he'll throw the ball okay, maybe throw a couple touchdowns, but I think the turnover bug could be a plague for him against Baltimore this week. At running back, I really, really, really like Jonathan Taylor this week. You're going to play him if you have him, but I really am expecting big things from him this week as the Colts come off of a bye. I like Boston Scott this week if Miles Sanders is not healthy. And I also love Le'Veon Bell. Like Steve mentioned, I think this could be a game where he scores 3 touchdowns and he just continues to run the football a ton just because it's his former team and because the Chiefs can. So I could definitely see a scenario where that happens. Guys I don't really like, I'm not in love with Giovanni Bernard this week. I know it's against Tennessee, but I have my concerns about him. I don't think he's quite the level that Mixon is. And I think this week he would take a step back if Mixon even if Mixon doesn't play. Also don't love any of the Chargers running backs in Denver. That's actually my least favorite offense this week. I just hate the weather that has been in place in Denver. We saw how much that bothered Mahomes last week. At wide receiver, I really like Brandon Ayuk and I really like Deontay Johnson. I mentioned both of those guys a little bit earlier. I think they both could be smash plays this week. And also Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is due for his massive game against the Giants without Chris Godwin, and they're going to take some shots deep. Guys I don't really like, any other Pittsburgh receiver, not a huge fan. I just don't know that the target share is there, especially Chase Claypool. He just was not involved in the offense last week when Deontay Johnson got back. And also, again, Chargers wide receivers, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. You have to play Keenan Allen, but I'm a little nervous about it, and I would not play Mike Williams at Denver.
All right, there you go. All right, so anything else, guys, people need to look out for?
I think kind of going back to DFS a little bit as we're wrapping this up. If you're doing a game stack, build a lineup with Carson Wentz, Boston Scott, and take your choice of Eagles receivers, and then fill in from around there. You're going to win money with that lineup.
Yeah, well, the Cowboys are they're making people money, just not themselves this year. Grayson, any last thoughts?
Yeah, just back to that question that we had a little bit earlier. Look at guys you can pick up on the IR because they're out there, and there's going to be some guys that hit. I mean, and Alshon Jeffrey is another name that comes to mind. Other than the guys that we mentioned, just be on the lookout for it because you never know. If a guy like a Rashad Penny comes back or Tevin Coleman comes back, then that guy could legitimately be the top running back on a very, very good offense. So just pay attention to the waiver wire because the bottom teams in your league will not be paying attention to that in the coming weeks.
All right, thank you to Grayson Grunhaver. Thanks to Steve May. As always, thanks to our producer, Armstrong Sims, and Phineas and Ferb superfan. There's like a name for them, like the club, like.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
I'm not aware of any, but
okay.
Yeah, right.
It's an incredible show.
It was. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I just didn't know
if
there's a fan club for it at all. So, but when we next week we'll go through all this again. If you have any questions, send them to us on Twitter at Paul Catalina, at Gray Grundhafer, and at Syntex Commish. Grayson put a graphic up earlier, so you can just rewind because it's on YouTube.
There you go.
It's not 1986 anymore where you're like, oh well, I missed that. That's so much for that.
That was a good year.
Yeah. I don't believe Grayson and Armstrong were alive in 1986.
Nope.
Very good year.
No, wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can both go to hell.
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow.
Hey,
Hey.
No, I get a little belligerent when people make me feel old. I was only 6, so
Yeah. I was in college.
yeah. Yeah, 1986, that was the year after we got my sister, so I don't know, like I was kind of feeling in a spot of like, well, it used to be cool around here.
Yeah.
Now there's this girl just cries all the time. It's annoying. All right, that's going to do it for us. This is the Fantasy Football Show on Sikkim 365 Radio. Thanks to Richard Carr, Buick, Pontiac, GMC, and Brotherwell Brewing. We'll see you again next week, everybody.